Hey, Steelers Nation, what the difference a year makes. We think about this time last year. We're all second preseason game. Everything looks horrible against Jacksonville. We dive into what last year was against the Bills, getting completely annihilated, and this being about as different a year later as it can be until Mitch hit the field. But let's start with the positive things, obviously. So many great things from the starting unit across the board. And personally, I like starting with the defense because I love it. When we look at the outside pass rush that started in this game, it was absolutely phenomenal. Our edge rushers were all over Josh Allen consistently and drawing penalties and pushing the action. Watt and Highsmith were bringing it in and out, and the fastball of Herbig coming off of the edge was just a great way to see this. This is an offense that last year destroyed us, and they couldn't get a first down. And to that point, this has been a theme for both of the first units, both games now. We are a net penalty machine. We're not getting penalties called on us, and we are causing penalties. And that is something that is a sign that you are overmatching your competition, and a great sign the way that Tomlin did his camp, that it was tremendously and done right. That is all good things to see out of this. But let's not bury the lead. Kenny Pickett once again stacking victories and looking amazing. With the exception of the play when he was rolled out of the pocket and threw it high on Robinson, every single one of his passes were in the absolute perfect location and getting the job done. And as we look this in combination with what Trubisky just did here in the second half, all of the long-term analytics of the Steelers offense from last year needs to get thrown out the window. Kenny is not the same player that he was last year. Kenny has dramatically stepped forward just from where he's putting the ball and how he is being on time with his passes. That is something that stays with you and is not a preseason fluke. And to me, that is one of the best things to see with this progression, is because what Kenny is doing in this preseason, where he is putting the ball, is 100% going to translate to the regular season and beyond. He hit Freiermuth between the 2-8s as he was falling into the end zone. He's not dependent upon relying on sideline out passes anymore. Along that note, I do want to point out one thing about the out route. George Pickens, if teams are keeping afraid to play him tight, is going to have that 10-yard out all season. And that was one of the great things that I liked about this team, was how we were ready to go for beyond the sticks. And I think that's the biggest night and day difference we see from when Kenny's on the field versus when Trubisky's out there. When Kenny's out there, you almost feel like we're getting the first down. And when Trubisky's out there, it's like back in the day Broken Ben, when it's like, we ain't getting this first down and we know it. And the one thing that needs to be said about the offensive line with the first unit versus the second is they don't block it differently. The key difference is Kenny isn't giving pre-snap tells about whether this is a run play or a pass play, mostly because he has developed and grown over the offseason. It's one of the things that really holds Trubisky back. There are pre-snap tells with him that you can identify this is going to be a run or not. Likewise, Trubisky is held back because one of the biggest things, he does throw the ball downfield. Kenny has shown that his last year of in the air target distance of 5.5 yards is going to be a blip on his career. The more that he is pushing the ball at least 7.5 yards downfield per attempt, that's how offenses open up. Remember last year, to give the quarterback who's the same age as him, Hurts averaged throwing the ball 8.8 yards per field. And that's how you kept pushing it and you grow your thing and you're able to run the ball better. That is what the Steelers have been doing and what Kenny's showing success at. See, it would be different if he was trying it and failing it. He's putting the ball in the absolute perfect placement that Kenny is showing growth, and he is the one who's going to take this league by storm. as I said, for all of you guys out there that are looking for the growth of this season, looking for what the next steps are, we're seeing them now and they're going to translate. Kenny's ball placement is for real. The fact that we are using the middle of the field is legitimate. Now, one of the things that I know is going to come eventually, so I want to hit it on right now, is Najee versus Warren. And when we saw last week, we saw Warren doing bigger things and Najee getting bottled up. Same as tonight. Obviously, Warren's play tonight was massive, and there's no doubt about that. But what we see is going to be this debate of should Warren be getting the ball more over Najee? It's inevitably happening, Steelers Nation. And the answer is, well, Warren is great at getting an opening and making an immense. There is no doubt about that. And running between Moore and Solomalu was fantastic. It's also one of the best holes the Steelers have reduced in a very long time. Warren does not have the body type capability to last an NFL season as the lead dog. And the question becomes, if you want to run a system where Warren is going to be your play out running back, you have to dramatically diminish the percentage of runs you're going to do because Warren can't handle it. And I don't believe that the Steelers are willing to go all the way to a 70% passing system yet. I just don't think they're there yet. So as a result, Najee, due to his body type, is going to be dominant and your leading back throughout this season. And Warren is going to give you the splash capability just as last year. The one thing that I've really liked watching the first game again and then watching the second half of the first half of the second game here on the first time, we're no longer being personnel dependent like we were last year. Last year, if Warren made a play, it was almost always in the air to the right or on the ground to the left. Deontay only did his on the sidelines. Pickens only did his on the sidelines. Now we are using much more of the field and we are being much more aggressive. This is an offense that will translate. And I'm seeing all your comments coming about how positive and growth that this team's going to be because I'm right there with you. When we look at what we saw from the first team this year, the edge rushers were amazing. Allen, probably the best quarterback in the NFL, wasn't able to handle the pressure, play in and play out. Defense was there. And again, I want to finish this off here because he's probably going to be a starter about the Porter pick at the end, the half there. Porter makes a great play on the ball, and I know half the haters out there are going to be like, it was a horrible pass, it was a horrible pass. It was. That's a fact. But the majority of the NFL misses that ball and doesn't see it, and let alone make a play on it. And I give you literally 3 plays later as my key example. The first pass interference in the end zone, Trubisky throws an absolutely horrendous ball to Darnell Washington that was below his feet. And had that corner been playing the ball, it would have been an interception. The fact is, most of the NFL doesn't. Porter did. Porter was able to read the play and adjust it to make the catch. Most of the NFL doesn't. It's just an incomplete pass, like, whoa, that was really bad, while you're smothering your guy into the sideline. There is something innately different about that ball skill ability. And like I said, he's missed some practices here of late, but when he has been going against Pickens, he is showing that he's a very, very hard person to get the ball around. And it's a scary thing to look out there. Not to mention when Herbig and the rest of the pass rushers were coming in. Because that was the other great part. It wasn't just the front two. Golden and Herbig both were showing good rush as well. Long story short, the tackles of the Bills had a rough night tonight. And that is a very good thing for the Steelers. The other thing as we're getting closer back to the half coming off was we learned Darnell Washington basically isn't coverable. And while we never want to see the Steelers take 6+ plays to score a touchdown, which unfortunately is the Trubisky offense, knowing that you can get a free first down because Washington is uncoverable is always a nice thing to keep in your hands. I mean, this is the thing that the Patriots would do through the early 2000s to make sure they would get a first down anytime they need it. This is our version of it. No one will be able to cover Washington on a fade. That little hug move that everyone does, people are going to keep doing to him. He's too tall and too weird. It's a great thing that the Steelers have, and it's going to ultimately be, how did this dude fall that far in the third round? The Steelers, I do agree with you, my man. We're winning the Niners. That's not a bold prediction. And I got 3 minutes left here to break this down. The Niners have a worse quarterback than Baker Mayfield. And Purdy is not going to have time to prepare. At the end of the day, Watt is going to destroy them. And as long as our offense is halfway competent, which would be worse than what they've done in their first 2 showings, we'll easily put up enough points. I'm not betting the over or anything like that, but we're winning week 1. And I firmly believe if you win week 1 and week 2, we go undefeated in the bye, and this is going to be a super special season. And it all starts with Kenny's ball placement, attacking more blades of grass. That's the offensive picture. And on defense, we are getting the edge rush. I did the video about a week or so, the 3 things we needed to change from last year. Number 1, Kenny had to throw the ball further downfield. He's absolutely doing that. Number 2, we have to win net yards per play, meaning that we're not losing stupid penalties. We're not losing big plays on defense and preventing to make them on offense. All 3 of those have been checks in our favor. And then we need to return the lead in sacks. It looks like we're going to do all 3 of them. And like I said, that was the big change from last year to this year. If we can do those 3 things, we will have the bye. And then once you're in the playoffs, it's anyone's guess. But I do believe the AFC North, because of the schedule setup, is going to get the bye. The East and the West play each other. That's going to water down their schedules. We should get at least 3 out of the South. And when we look at this, with Burrow not playing week 1, and that number keeps kind of growing, the Steelers look like they're in an absolute prime position to take this. Your first 5 games before the bye have the other 2 division teams, and starting off with a heads up on them is a great place to do this. The defense looks great. The edge rush is going to lead this team, and the ball placement of Kenny is there. I get that there's concerns that Najee has 3 or 4 carries and really isn't doing anything with them. Let that develop as the season go on. That will not be a long-term problem. This offensive line is massively better than it was last year, even if it's all the same except for Samala. They have improved as a unit. Dan Moore's run blocking has gotten better. And this team is in a spot where they are going to make some really, really amazing things that happen. This year is going to be great. See you guys later. Enjoy the second half.